To mention about this particular studio, guys. So Shreya designed this. She helped me actually, picking up a lot of things and combine them and creatively design it. So whenever someone comes, as you said,
Right.
as you just said about the journey starts way before you enter that space, right?
Correct.
So whenever someone comes, opens the door, and it's like they always tell me, Tushar, the set is so meditative. We feel so calming, because whenever we have shoot, someone comes from different commitments, and then
Correct.
they travel, they have a journey, and then they reach here.
Correct.
So before sitting on this couch, that initial 10 to 15 seconds of them looking around is something that I really enjoy. And after every episode, I generally ask about how was their experience after the shoot. So they first thing, forget about all the questions, forget about the shoot part. Tushar, we love the set. So
I'm so
thanks to
happy.
you for that. But just like to sum up in like maybe in a minute, like what was your thought process when you started brainstorming with me for this particular set?
So firstly, I think Tushar, I think just informally we've had a lot of conversation for your vision on this podcast even before we started, or rather you threw that idea of designing a podcast setup for you, right? And just knowing or understanding how rooted you want it to be, how true to the topic you want to be. It's not just about designing. I know you've done doctors, you've done actors, so there are a lot of aspects of conversations that you've had in the studio, but you wanted it to reflect honesty. And that's where the texturing started to come into play. Of course, your brand guidelines are so defined, it makes it easier for us to know, okay, this is a color palette that we can play along with, but then how do you add texture to bring in, I remember us brainstorming on the kind of plants, we want to do this a little moon effect, yet keep it very subtle, having this jute back at the back. So all of it had to do with understanding what the podcast stands for, and therefore aligning the entire pieces. Like I remember even the wooden blocks that we selected, the Buddha that we have, everything is with an intention to deliver a certain emotion. And of course, we can repurpose it in so many ways that it kind of represents the topic for the day. So
and recently we shot for the first regional podcast for Vitthal, and people just loved it. They called me, messaged me saying like, your set looks so welcoming and so spiritual at the same time, and it is the different version of the same podcast. So
I'm so happy. Actually, let me touch a point where you just said about, when people come into this space, and it's to the room that we are in. This is a very small corner that we've occupied.
That one more feedback also I've got, like a lot of people visit, they've seen this on bigger screens as well, but when they came here to see in person, so they're like, Tushar, दिखने में तो इतना grand दिखता है, and how you make it happen. So this is the expertise that I always tell them that Shreya has put in a lot of efforts to do this.
I'm glad, and of course there is a lot of technology that's played the trick also, definitely. But I was wanting to touch upon this point that where we are as studio, we have a station nearby, we have this lane where we enter the building. It's a pretty narrow lane, there is traffic all the time. So by the time somebody is actually coming up, there is a sense of, for a lack of better word, frustration. Ki, okay, I finally arrived, now what? But, and I think I did realize that journey much before, doing this studio, where I knew that the first thing somebody needs to feel as soon as they come here is feel centered. That all right, now we are here, this is happening, and it just calms you down. And I'm glad that that's the you've had. So I'm just happy that I've been able to achieve that. And I'll tell you,
like we have used a lot of natural elements here to make it soundproof. And if I want to tell you, this studio is not at all acoustic, or we designed that way. So that is one special thing about this, that we tried the way we have plants. It absorbs, and jute is something that we are. So we played a lot of fabrics and natural elements and wooden elements here.
Absolutely,
so thanks to you, Shreya.
Swank Way, that's